Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Sometimes in life, we feel lost or misplaced. We don't actually know what the purpose of our life is. But in other times, we feel like we were actually chosen to be in the life that we're in. That somehow it was already preordained. We were predestined to be doing what it is that we're doing. Have you ever felt like this? We're going to be discussing this today. What is it like to be chosen? Chosen to be in the role that you're in, maybe chosen by someone else to share a life with or chosen to work with. Let's discuss this further here on Dr. Jacalyn Unscripted here on USA Global TV and Radio. Joining me is my dear friend, mentor, and our executive producer here at USA Global TV and Radio. He's also a certified global broadcaster, Mr. Roland Friedl. Welcome to the program.
Hello to Jacalyn. Hello to our audience. Hello.
Hello. That was a rather long introduction, as it keeps getting longer and longer the more you stay around. So thank you for that. So for our audience who doesn't know, you are a newly released man, meaning that you no longer have your plaster cast and you are out and about. Tell us how this whole thing transpired on Friday.
Yeah, I had a plaster cast for 4 weeks. Luckily, I say only for 4 weeks, because in the beginning they told me 6 weeks, so only 4 weeks, and I'm a person that is not used to sit around and hang around, so I'm a very active person, so I missed my dog walks and being active, so yeah, it was like it is. But it was a learning, I'm a person, I'm not asking why it's happening to me. Yeah, kind of, but not feeling like a victim. It's more about what is the meaning, what's the purpose behind of it, what is the learning out of it. Yeah, I just broke my foot by an accident instead of battling a little bit crazy thing. But anyway, I got rid of it on last Friday, so I'm very happy about it, but I still have to slow down and still be a little bit patient, because actually yesterday I was did too much walking and it's swollen now, but it's another learning curve I'm going through.
For our audience who doesn't know, I find this so amazing that you decided to leap off of something onto a paddle board, and you didn't land just quite the way you wanted to. And so the board got away from you and you slipped. So will you be paddleboarding again in the near future?
Of course.
Maybe today, if it weren't dark at nighttime there already.
Well, the funny thing is, I guess it was on the second or third day after the accident. Well, actually, after the accident happened, I immediately jumped on the board, because, the thing is, when something happens to your body, you're traumatized, you're under a kind of shock, so you don't feel the pain in the beginning. I think maybe it's the survival mode that gives you the chance to, I don't know, to ask for help or get out of the danger, or maybe ready for Counter-Strike or whatever. So when it happened, I knew that I fell down, but there was absolutely no pain. So I jumped on the board again, and I was paddling, I think, for 10 minutes, something like that. And then the pain was really terrific. And I had to try to get back. And yeah, That's the story.
Well, I'm glad that you are without your plaster cast and that you're up and walking. Hopefully you'll take a little bit of time to give it some adjustment from being in a cast to being without a cast. But Roland, our show today is about being chosen. And many times, if I think back to when I was in high school, for example, and you would go to a dance and the boys would ask the girls to dance typically. And if you weren't the chosen one, if you were the one who was still sitting or still standing, waiting for someone to ask, you go through a period of just feeling like you're not good enough or imposter syndrome. But just because you're not chosen doesn't mean that you're not desirable. It doesn't mean that you're not a good dance partner. It doesn't mean a lot of things. But we usually go to the negative side of it. And today, I'd like to go to the positive side, that when we are chosen, and to me, that means we can have a calling where we're predestined to actually do something. And I think that's how and why you and I are here together. What are your thoughts?
100%, Dr. Jacalyn, 100%. But actually, in general, I strongly believe that everyone is chosen, but most people don't hear the calling. They don't hear the calling. They just go on a daily routine every day. They don't hear the calling, or they're still waiting for a calling because they missed the first call, didn't hear it, or
hello.
Yeah. Or they just don't care, they don't self-reflect, I don't know, they're not ready to really improve and ask for their purpose why they're here. They're just, maybe they're just in this, I don't know, treadmill or even worse, in a survival mode. But I strongly believe everyone gets a calling, because I strongly believe that everyone is connected to the universe in some kind. That's what I call a higher force. Some people call it God or whatever. I'm not a religious guy, but I believe in a higher source that is greater than me. And as I said, everybody has but most people don't care or don't listen, or are too busy maybe. They don't see the signs,
I agree with you. And I think there's also a second group of people. The second group of people is they have an opportunity. The opportunity's been presented. And to me, it's the same thing of having information. We have so much access to information, but doing something with it, taking action, is another story. So opportunities get presented to us every day, and we can look at it. Why is this coming to me? Why was I chosen for this opportunity? And what people will typically do is they'll come up with excuses. And the first one is, I'm so busy. You know how much I can't stand that word, because to me, busy is like the word fine. 4 letters, no meaning, right? We can be fine all day. We can be busy all day. But meanwhile, we're miserable and doing nothing. Or we're extremely happy and very productive. So we get the calling, the opportunity, and we're too busy. Or the other one is, I don't have the money. We hear that all the time. I can't afford it. I don't have the money. But I think you and I both agree that when we put it into our hearts, we embrace it. This is what we want to do. And then we ask the universe, we do a vision board, whatever it might be. The money comes. It's amazing. But most people don't believe that, or they don't want to take the time to actually do the steps.
Yes, 100%. I mean, we always there's always a chance that we go to rough times. And I found out, and I heard it from many other people, that people who are chosen and they have a purpose in life and have, I don't know, whatever it is, maybe it's very successful in business like Elon Musk or the Apple founder, or maybe some political leaders in the world or whatever. They all went to really, really rough times, like having maybe experienced a trauma, maybe they went bankrupt, had a divorce, had health issues. So everyone who is chosen to have a purpose and a meaning and bring it out to the world went through how to call it, a rock bottom. So we really have been very, very down, and from there they stepped up, because sometimes we need this to be very down, because someone, David Bayer, said, when you are down, you have to look up. That's the only way you can look. So you have to look up, and then you make a choice. Yeah, you find excuses. You stay there. You're blaming everyone for that, or you say, okay, let's do it. Yeah. Look up,
Absolutely.
step up, and go.
Absolutely. You know, one of the stories that comes to mind right away is when people compete in athletics at a very high level and they get injured. Maybe they get injured right in the tournament or the event, whatever it is that they've trained for so many years of their life. And what typically happens? They start going through recovery and then they come back. They're not sitting there going, oh, I hate the world. I missed the gold medal because this or that. I am now not going to have all these sponsorships. They get back up. It's incredible to actually watch the courage, the determination, and the stamina that these people have, not just physical stamina, but mental stamina to rise above obstacles. And yet, on the other side, and there's no judgment, sometimes something very small will happen to us, something doesn't go our way, and we can't stop talking about it. We don't move forward. We start making one phone call after another, texting people, you wouldn't believe what happened to me today. And meanwhile, people are going through really serious things in life and not even complaining for a minute, but yet something small happens and we think it's the end of the world. What does that mean?
Good question. I strongly believe that there is always a meaning when we ask for it. There's always a meaning. There's always a purpose where something is happening through our lives, where we meet someone, or maybe, as you said, in sports, that something happens and then we come back much greater. And for many years, I'm just searching around and I said, okay, what's the meaning? What's the purpose? Where it's coming from, and who gives us this chance to reflect and go for a higher purpose? Is it a higher source where it's coming from? And but I for myself, I always experienced trauma. As a child, I was sexually abused for many years, or smaller things. I remember before we did a TV show 3 years ago, somebody robbed my Rolex from
I know.
from my hand in my motorhome, and I 1 or 2 hours later, I showed up at the show and I said, okay, I'm not a person who's looking back. But it's not only about being solution driven. I think being solution driven is very, very important, one thing. But I think there's even more. Of course, finding a solution for a problem. But when you're challenged, whatever it is, maybe you went bankrupt, you had a divorce or sexual abuse or an accident, whatever it is. I think finding a solution is one thing, stepping out of the situation, of course. But I think the second thing is, it's far more than personal development, is finding the meaning. What's behind? What does it teach me? What's the learning out of it? And how does this teach me to become a better version of myself? And I think this distinguishes people who are successful, whatever this means, and the people who just lay down and are blaming everyone else.
I agree with you. I remember a friend of mine was going through a really tough time and she was very stressed out. I mean, highly, highly stressed out. And one day, I don't even know how she did it. When she was telling me the story, she was in her car and she had the door open with her foot on the ground, ready to do something. And she ran over her own foot with her car. I mean, imagine, what are the odds of actually doing that? And so, she broke her foot. It was very painful. And she started to process it. And she said, I have not taken a moment to just stop and smell the roses. I have been so stressed out, like stress on top of stress on top of stress. And she decided that it was really a wake-up call. And she wasn't furious that she ran over her own foot. She thought, how stupid can I be? But it was a message that she needed to slow down. And I think when we get these messages, we get good messages too, positive messages. We have to acknowledge it and look at, okay, it could be a higher power. It could be the universe. It could be nothing other than this is just a string of events that have happened, that we take pause and say, okay, how can I take what I'm experiencing and turn it into a learning that I can incorporate into my life. And maybe I'm supposed to be going on a different direction right now, because as you know, sometimes we get so steadfast in doing what it is that we're doing that we're sort of down like this. And I always talk about, as business owners, being an eagle flying over your business so that you can look at it. It's almost like being in a room, if you're setting up a room and taking a big step back and looking from this perspective and that perspective and seeing how does it all come together. And I think that's the solution piece. And when we don't have the answers, talking to other people who have had similar journeys and saying, what was your experience?
100%. As you said, it's very important that we go to this helicopter position and step back and look at the situation, maybe look at ourselves, how I'm acting, how I'm reacting of this. When I remember when I was a teenager, I had a learning. I was a huge fan of the Formula One, those Formula One races.
Yes.
And we had a very famous driver, an Austrian driver, Niki Lauda. And actually, he was the world champion 3 times. And in the 70s, he had in Nuremberg in Germany, he had a very, very bad accident. So he had an accident, the car exploded, it was on fire. He was in the fire for a long time. His head was totally burned. He lost his ears. That's why I always had a cap. He lost his ears. The skin was totally burned. But to be honest, he never was a handsome guy. He had teeth like this. And he was always in competing with David Hunt from England. And David Hunt, was the sunny guy in the media with all these girls and this fancy stuff. And Nicky was only working on the car the whole time, And always when they called him, you look like a rat. He said, you know what? Rats are very intelligent. Never forget this. But what happened, what I want to tell you, he had this accident. And when you saw this on TV, everybody said, oh God, this guy's dying. He's burning, he's dying. He survived. His head was totally burnt, and I met him in person a few times, and he said, "You cannot imagine the pain. You cannot imagine the pain." You know what happened? He had a short surgery in Brazil, and by the way, after this surgery, this Brazilian doctor became the first beauty doctor in the world. And he was focused on helping people who had an accident and burned his skin. And after this operation, Niki Lauda made him famous. He became the first famous beauty doctor. And then the beauty industry started with him to do surgery on faces. It was not there before. By the way, but can you imagine with this head, and you have, when you have this race, you have this helmet that is on your head. 4 weeks after the accident, he was back in the cockpit and driving and racing with this pain. So he was so driven, and he did the world championship the 3rd time, and when he retired, he still kept going. He was the founder of 2 very, very successful airlines, which he sold afterwards. I was always flying with this airlines, because when I've been living in Mallorca, for 14 years, it was my favorite airline to go from, especially from Vienna or to Munich to back home to Mallorca for my business trips. And many times he was flying as a pilot himself, and he was always standing at the door and shaking hands and greeting. And I said, I remember as a teenager, I learned so much of this. And I said, okay, you can give up and you can blame yourself, and then you burn that, or you go back on duty, you win this fucking race and become a world champion again. And I think that's it, standing up and being chosen, and I think everybody has a calling. It's up to us what we do. If we react, as you said, if we pick up the phone or not.
Well, that's a great story. Thank you for sharing that. How do we actually know if and when we've been chosen?
I learned something from David Bayer. He said, I don't know if I can get all 7 steps, but there are 7 steps. The first step is it starts in your childhood, when you have been traumatized in your childhood. And maybe it's just a childhood, or maybe it's ongoing. It hasn't been like a sexual abuse that happened to me. It can be that your parents always tell you you're not good enough, you cannot do this or something like that. whatever can be, and then you believe you're not good enough, and you're not good enough to go to university, or you're not intelligent enough, or you're not looking good, or whatever it can be. Or even, when you're young and you sit on the ball, and you're not as a girl, and you're not chosen, no boy picks you up, because they're all too blind to see your beauty. So one step is that you are traumatized in your very early years. That's one step. That's part that you're chosen, because there's a meaning behind this. It can also be that it happens later, that you went bankrupt, you get divorced or something like that. It has a meaning to stand up because you're on a bottom. So that there are different calls or different signs in your life that give you the chance to pick up the phone, so to say, and hear the calling and think about your purpose and the meaning in your life. But as I said, most people don't listen to it. They're too busy. They don't take the time to reflect. They don't take time for personal development, and they just stick to the life and go on, and then they die, and then, yeah. That's it.
Sometimes it's like watching a bad movie that you don't want to see anymore. You just want to turn the TV off. But I was reminded yesterday, I went to drop off a dress at the dry cleaner, and I really don't have any clothes anymore that are dry clean only. In fact, when I'm shopping, buying something, I look at the tags and I want to make sure that it's machine or hand wash. And for whatever reason, I just missed this one. And I wore it, I hate to say 3 or 4 times, because I did not want to have it dry clean. And I went to the dry cleaner and they were out of business. And it just made me think back to when the pandemic started and how many businesses are no longer there. In fact, we were doing some advertisements for a framing company. They actually framed the YouTube Silver Creator Award here on the shelf. They're no longer in business. And part of it, along with what we're talking about today, it made me think about that sometimes we are doing something and something else way beyond our capacity to plan, like a pandemic occurs, and then we're out of business. And so we have a different calling. And that's where I want to go with this, is that sometimes another opportunity presents itself. And let's say there wasn't something like a pandemic where so many things were ordered to be shut down. You wouldn't have had to make a choice, or you wouldn't have even considered the choice. But then because something happens and all these businesses are told you have to shut down, you can't operate, you have to make a new decision. For example, with dry cleaning, which again, I'm not an advocate of dry cleaning, but I just had this one off, which by the way, I put into the washing machine and there's no problem. It washed fine by itself. But if you think about it, as a result of businesses being shut down from the pandemic, which was all the way back, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, businesses shut down and business owners had to find new things to do. But if you came to them before a pandemic and you said, oh, Mr. or Mrs. Dry Cleaner, we think this would be a great opportunity, you probably wouldn't have even considered it.
Yes, because, they said, no, why? It's working. It's good. It's good. And, as you mentioned in the beginning, Jacalyn, a lot of people had a lot of, you can call it excuses or can call it justification. They're justifying the status quo. It is like it is. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I don't need it, or whatever. Yeah. Because most people are not open to listen to it. I mean, it doesn't mean that you immediately have to act, but it's just to listen to a new opportunity. And that's one thing. And especially when we talk about businesses, I strongly believe, and it was a hard learning for me too, to be very open to it. I strongly believe when a door closes, another one opens. But sometimes it happened also to me that, the door is going to closing, but I still have my foot not to close it. I don't want it because, I was so successful in the business. It was so much fun. It has to go. It has to go. It has to go. But it happened to me after the pandemic. To be honest, I was traveling for almost 30 years around the globe, delivering trainings, facilitating trainings for top companies in the world, for thousands and thousands of people. And then in 2020, it was bang, nothing. So a little bit went online, but my business went down 90% down. Uh, and I was struggling and I was fighting. I was like, this cannot be. It was always working. Hanging in this old story. This was always working. It has to continue. So I was fighting and fighting. But to be honest, in my back, there was already the idea I have to do something new, meaning something, not a new approach to my old business, something totally new. Yeah, I think you cannot solve problems with old thinking. It's not working. If there's a new situation, really like a pandemic or a crisis, you cannot solve a problem with the old thinking. But I was still the same, for a few years I was still with my foot in the door. No, don't close, don't close. I panic. I was not brave enough to go the calling I already had. And it took me really, almost 4 years to realize, okay, Roland, it doesn't make sense anymore. Let it go and let a new door open. And that is one part of the 7. I mentioned 2 before. It's not about personal development, not only interested in personal development, more interested in transformation. Not only interested in becoming better, improving, being more efficient what I'm already doing, but interested in a transformation. I think this is also a sign that you have chosen one. A 4th one that just came to my mind is you have a certain superpower, a natural superpower. For example, you're a very good listener, or you can solve problems, or maybe you can, I don't know, explain complicated things so simple that a 7-year-old can understand it, or you play an instrument or whatever it is. So you have a superpower in whatever kind of form, and you have to bring it to the world. This is also one of the signs.
Absolutely. They're excellent points. Something that you just mentioned, I want to go back to and see if we can even clarify it further. There are plenty of people out there right now watching who have businesses. And if the business is not doing the numbers, the sales, the revenue, the productivity that they would like it to do, how do they know when it's time to hang it up? Or when is it time to look for another solution? That's a tough one to make a call. You were talking about what happened with you. And so I know I can just hear people's voices in my head talking about their own business. And they said something told them, don't give up. Don't give up. Find a different way. Find a way to cut costs. Find a way to generate more revenue. But how do we know when, after doing a number of those things, it's time to take the call and do something else?
That's a tough one, Dr. Jacalyn. If you asked me this question 10 years ago, I would have said never give up. Okay, always adapt the strategy. Maybe you're in the wrong market, find a new target group. Maybe you work a little bit on the product. Maybe the timing was wrong or something like that. So this is the old teaching, in business and sales. After what happened the last year, I would say, or make it more practical. Why did I decide to get out of the old business? As I said, I tried everything. I tried everything to go back to the business and to increase my sales and numbers with all my contacts. And I did it very successfully and have a very, very good reputation. And I still get this feedback. But all the companies said to me, no, we are changing. We have an economic crisis. We don't invest and blah, 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 blah. And I said, my God, these are all stories. They are stories. They're just telling me stories. Or they don't want me anymore. And then, this really hit me, to be honest. But I have some very, very good friends and very, very successful colleagues in the same field. Almost 25, 30 years too. And it happened the same to them. And it told me, Roland, no, you're not alone. It's not you're not good enough. We know each other. No, same happens to me. Same happens to me, and I heard it from very good colleagues, from very good, even competitors. We have friends, who facilitated trainings or did consulting on the top level, a CEO level of big companies. It's all the same. And then I said, okay, it's time to step out. It's time to step out. And some still are struggling and don't give up, but most of them are in a transformation phase. Like I do more TV shows. writing books and finding a new business solution, small scale businesses and so. For me, it was the time to step out, or to realize to step out, when I found my colleagues that I really trust and have been on the same level. You know, we say a high six-figure income every month. The same guys on the same level, working international for big companies, all said the same. Roland, it's over. It's over.
It's over. It's done.
It's all over again, baby blue. What's the song called?
Well, you know, something else I think is equally as important is when we are in business, or let's say we're in a relationship, whatever it might be a relationship even with ourselves, and we're unhappy. We're consistently unhappy. To me, that is a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call that something has to be done differently. So if you are in business and you are looking for various solutions and you are cutting costs, you're increasing sales, you're looking at what's the latest and greatest in the marketplace, and nothing seems to be working, and you find yourself just continuously just frustrated and unhappy, that could be a sign that it's time. Now, if you're not actually living up to your true potential and looking for various solutions and being honest with yourself, taking the emotion out of it and looking at, okay, am I being as effective as I can be in running this business? Am I too close to it? Am I overlooking things? Am I spending a lot of time on vacation? Whatever it might be, then that's a different story. But I know so many people who are living a life where they are truly not living up to their potential of happiness. Because if you're not happy, what is the point of it? Can you give me that answer? Anyone?
Because there are many other excuses or justifications to justify the status quo. It is like it is, you know. And sometimes I think we also have, you know, hidden, unconscious negative beliefs. As I said, you know, maybe everyone told you that you're not worth to be loved, and then you're in a situation and you don't get love, and said, yeah, okay, that's what I learned, and I don't deserve better, for example. Or you had a trauma in your life, you know, your mom didn't love you. I talk it from a male perspective. Yeah, mom didn't love you, and then you find a woman, and okay, that's your mommy replacement. You're a substitute, and you have this emotional toxic dependency. Yeah, that I think there are different patterns, and most people don't realize that there's a better running. And that's why when I coach people, actually I'm coaching a person right now, an artist, mindset coaching, and an American artist, and he said, I know I have to change. I know I have to change, but something holds me back, and I have no idea what it is. It's not conscious. It's unconsciously. So when I work with people, and it helped me many years ago when I learned it, is because we always look from the bad situation to the good outcome, and this doesn't work because something holds us back. And what I did with him also, and I said it was an eye opener, is always first of all look. What is the positive side of staying in the old, painful, toxic, whatever you call it, situation? Maybe you have some benefits, consciously or unconsciously, staying in the situation where you don't give up this relationship, or why you don't give up smoking, or why you don't give up this job in this company, or whatever. So there's always something that holds us back. When we are not ready to move, most people are trying. You have to be positive, but do I don't know, do manifestation and write down goals and do a storyboard. These are all good things, but I strongly believe, and it's my own experience and from hundreds of clients had before, is you have to find out first what holds you back. What do you still believe, consciously or unconsciously, you get benefits out of this old situation? And it's an eye opener. Maybe you say, yeah, when I'm when I'm there, I can complain that I get attention, and then people have mercy with me, or whatever it is. I think first of all we have to find out this, and then we find about the negative thing about the situation. Then we go to the negative situation from the negative ones from the new life, or for the new behaving, or for the new whatever it is. Maybe there's something negative that holds it back, and then we can go to the positive side. So this is really a process we have to go through, because most people want to do the shortcut, and that's not working. I see it very often. And of course, there are people who don't want to change. There are people who have excuses. There are people who are too lazy. Yes, but there are a lot of people who really want to, but they don't get out of this trap.
Yeah, it's very true. And it's in alignment with my new book. Why not? I just selfishly plug it right now, which is Stop Why Knowing Isn't Enough. Because we have information everywhere at our fingertips. You can type into search engines and you can get so much information. If it's health related, you can read books, you can join groups, you can go to traditional medicine, holistic medicine, but yet we don't take action. So I think today, when we're talking about being the chosen one, I'd like for each and every person who is watching or listening later on a podcast platform to realize that you are chosen. We're all chosen in some way. And if you don't feel that you're chosen, if you don't feel happy and just excited about your life, that waking up, you can't wait for the day instead of, I'm going to have to get through this day. It's going to be tough to get through the day. If that's how you're living your life, this could be a wake-up call for you. Maybe you just happen to find this channel and you're hearing this message right now. You have been chosen, and it's up to you to answer the calling and decide what to do with it.
100%. I would like to share another story that hit me many years ago. There's a book outside, and even the videos, but I think the video is only available for trainers because it's $1,000 or something, the video, but it's a cool tool. But I can share the story here because I always hear it, and it's for everyone, but not for me. I don't have the money, or I don't have the money, I don't have the resources, I don't have the education. I'm a simple blue collar worker, or as a girl, I'm just sitting at the cashier's front at a supermarket or whatever. There is something out, maybe you heard about it, Dr. Jacalyn, it's called Fish. I don't know if you heard about the Fish. It's
no.
From Seattle. It's called Fish. There's a book outside in the video. And it's a true story, by the way. So there are some gentlemen who are working in the fish market, I guess in Seattle. Is it Vancouver, Seattle? I guess it's Seattle. So there are people, there's some folks working at the fish market in Seattle. And working in the fish market means get up early in the morning when it's still dark outside. Maybe you just don't see the sun. You have to show up early in the morning. You work with fish. That's, for most people, it doesn't smell good. It's cold because they're on ice. It's a little, when you touch it, it's a little slippery. So not the best job, not the best paid job. And this young guys working in this fish market, they came together as friends and they said, okay, we can do this job every day and are pissed up every morning, get up early, going to this stinky fish, selling fish to people, or we turn it around. And I said, you know what? Let's make every day the best day of our lives. The best day of our lives for us and for all the peoples walking down or walking or crossing our stand where we sell the fish. And what they did, really, they just have fun. They go there in a positive state every morning. There are two stands in opposite. One is throwing the fish at us, and the other one is catching it. They said, hey, thank you, catch it back. So they make a lot of performances. And what came out is that people came in their lunch break from the offices. It was downtown in Seattle, came from lunch break and get entertained. And sometimes they bought fish, sometimes not just entertained. And this was a very, very successful story that's going on. It's called Fish. There's a book outside if someone is interested in. And what I mean, even when you're just selling fish in a market or whatever you do, you're a taxi driver, you don't have to have this fancy job or business. Everyone can have a fulfilled, happy life. I think it's just up to us to make a decision. That's what I want to share.
Thank you. That sounds really fishy to me.
I know that you're allergic to fish.
No, I love fish. I can't eat shellfish, but I do love fish.
Shellfish.
Roland, I normally would bring up your website, but I'm not going to because you're doing something totally different. But this is the point of our time together to just sum up what we've been talking about today. And so I'll just start and then ask for you to dovetail into what I'm saying. I really believe that each and every one of us gets at least one call about our calling in life. And maybe it's health. That's what happened to me. My ulcerative colitis was so bad. There's no way I could keep traveling around the world doing what I was doing in corporate. And so I decided to retire. And then the pandemic hit, and I got a phone call from New York about doing a radio show. Like, it all, you never could imagine putting it together, and it's just the way that it happened. But if I said no to that radio call interview, I never would be where I am today. So each and every one of us gets the call, whatever way it comes to us, that it manifests itself. And so I ask our audience to pick up the phone, open the door, do whatever it takes so that you can at least evaluate what the opportunity is. It might come to you through a complete stranger or someone you've known your whole life. But instead of just saying, I have to keep doing it, it's always been done this way, this is the way we do it, this is who I am, all generations of my family, we've always been doing this. Maybe take a pause and evaluate. How happy are you right now? Is there room for improvement? Roland, over to you.
100%, 100%. Oh my gosh, I just think about our own story. We didn't know each other 5.5 years ago, and then I got a call, to be a guest on the show just before the official launch, and I was a guest on the show with John Christian, and then you gave me a call, and I never heard about you, and you never heard about me before. And for me, it was a calling. As I said, it was a time when my business went down, and I was thinking about what I'm doing. I didn't think about hosting or producing TV shows. No, never ever, never ever. Writing books was one thing, but I was too scared at the beginning. And I said yes. I had no idea how it's working, and I was several times a guest on a TV show in Austria when I was in business, but I was never thinking about being the host or being the producer of a show. And I said, I don't know why. I said yes. I guess the quote is for Sir Richard Branson. For the Virgin. Virgin. He said, if somebody offers you an opportunity, say yes and learn it later. And this was his mean is, just step forward, and you don't have to know everything in the beginning. You don't have to be perfect. If it's a calling, and the calling means for me when I can feel it here in my heart, not just in my mind, here in my heart, when I can feel it for some reason, I say yes, and I said, okay, new field, let's try it. There's a reason for it, and if it's nothing, I can still go somewhere else. And now we did 100 shows together, very successful ones. You encouraged me writing books. I have an author now. I have 3 books out, 2 or 4 more coming this year. So you never know before it, and that's the transformation I said before. And in 2020 when my business was down, and I said, okay, what's now? And now I have a meaning, now I have a purpose. I know what I'm doing, and that's why I brought this example for our audience. You never know. Just try it. Whatever it is, take the opportunity. When your heart says yes, but your mind says, no, it's difficult. You're too old. You're young. You're not experienced. Hey, don't listen. If your heart says a little bit yes, listen to your heart. Make your heart louder than your head. That's my advice to our audience, and that's why I want to sum up this talk together.
I love that. And I just want to relate to what you said earlier about keeping a foot in the door. Sometimes we can keep the foot in the door for so long that the leg goes numb. And other times we're on the opposite side of the door. And if we could just push it open just a tiny bit and see what's in there, we don't know where it's going to go. So, Roland, thank you for taking this Sunday evening to join today on our regularly scheduled program every Sunday. How can people reach out to you, and who would you like to contact you?
Well, the best way is to reach out to me or send me an email. My email address is office and then my name, office at, you see it here in the banner. I spell it for those who are maybe just listen to it. office@rolandfriedl.com. It's ROLANDFRIEDL.com, office@rolandfriedl.com. Everyone who is inspired, but not only inspired, but also motivated to change can contact me. I always say, be less impressed and more involved. So if you want to be more involved in your own life and your own purpose, ready to go, let's talk. You will find a way to communicate and maybe we walk together, word of the journey. So don't hesitate to contact me. And you can also see me here on different other shows. If you speak German, on Tuesday I run German show, the Mutmacher Talk, and the Macher Talk, so don't hesitate there. You find also the recordings on YouTube here on USA Global TV and Radio and on Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roland. I really appreciate you. Thank you, everyone. We're signing off now. We have a brand new show coming up right after this, The Sound of Spirit, with the traveling tarot Mika. So stay tuned for that. And we'll look forward to seeing you on It's Your Healthy Lifestyle on Tuesday. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.